The Battle Theater here. I am David Picturely alongside the one and only Isaac Cummings-Bentley. Azale, as you may know him, or OMG Scoots in Twitch chat. Can't wait for this one.
I can't either. I'm excited.
All right, so we're gearing up for our second match of the day. It's between Liquid and Echo Fox. Liquid is coming into the series still feeling a little bit sore from the last two Immortals yesterday because they were close to winning that one.
Yeah, they did have a really strong showing against the Immortals. Very close series. Almost able to close it out. And, Dardoch was showing up big in that series, but, especially on Graves. And he was even talking on Twitter just about how he felt like when he's in that big of a lead, he should be able to carry the game. He should be able to close it out. So that's something that he's going to try to work on.
And we'll see if he can do that for the rest of his team. But Echo Fox, of course, they're coming off several losses in a row, especially the fact that they lost to Phoenix 1.
Yeah. It's a bit of a sad state of affairs for Fox, and it's kind of hard to watch some of their series because they're a team with a lot of potential that looked so good at the end of the last split, and now everything has just kind of gone wrong.
Right.
They are making changes, though. They had changed up their coaching staff. They've swapped in Kez now, so Kez is going to be making his debut. I know they have more subs coming too with Fixer perhaps, but we'll have to see. Either way, the drafts have been pretty limited for Fox, and that's been one of their biggest struggles. They're not making adaptations and banning out their opponents' drafts. They're not really able to play a lot of the specific power picks that other teams are choosing, so they're kind of pigeonholing themselves, and it's causing a lot of problems.
It definitely is. We'll see if that ever improves. I know Kez is Korean American, so I know he can speak with KFO in his own native language. Yeah. I know KFO's been getting English lessons, but sometimes it just falls through the cracks, so that might be something that helps out as well. Kez also a bit of a shot caller himself, so we might see Echo Fox finally get some direction when they're on the Rift. Now, talk about junglers. Dardoch made a splash in the LCS as a rookie and says he thought he had peaked early, but has since learned that he still has more room to grow.
Honestly, I felt like I reached my peak at the end of last split, and I was just going to cap out and stay there for a while being young. But after, just humbling yourself and then if I accept that I'm bad in some area and I can improve on it, it makes it a lot better. And I accepted that I'm bad at vision control and not playing for kills and shot calling consistently and having a bad attitude. I realized those things were problems for me really recently, and I've been working on them a lot, and I've improved a really substantial amount in the past 2 weeks.
In just 2 weeks, he says he notices improvement.
It's a good sign for TL,
Sure.
and the last couple of weeks have been going well for them, so we'll see if he can continue that trend.
Took down Cloud9, took a game off of Immortals. Maybe it gets better from them. Gonna take a look at these starting lineups now for this one. With the first pick in the blue side in game one is Liquid, matching their uniforms. Lurlo in the top lane. Dardoch just heard from him in the jungle. Phoenix in mid. Fabi continually on AD carry. Matt on support, and their coach, Loco Dogo.
And with the counter pick, it's going to be Echo Fox. In the top lane, KFO. In the jungle, it's Kez. Your mid laner, Froggen. The bot lane duo, going to be Keith and Big, with Coach having time helping them out.
And we'll see how much this team can do. Sometimes you'll actually see, and I'll think back to the old Dignitas lineup where they would add a new jungler and they'd win their next game. For whatever reason. Even if it wasn't his reason for it. Azinga comes in, they won a game. It's all right, well, I guess that's cool. Sometimes those things just matter a whole lot, especially because it feels like everyone's kind of blaming Hard and Big as the reason Echo Fox aren't doing anything. Yeah. If a team never looks proactive enough, it's because usually their jungler and support are the ones who are supposed to be playmakers, supposed to be getting things to happen. Well, you've now got fresh blood in that role, and Kez is a huge veteran. He's played so many LCS games now at this point. He spent the entire last 12 months on Team Dragon Knights, both in the LCS and Challenger, and maybe this is enough to revitalize this team and say, all right, this is going to work now. We've got some shot calling. We've got a playmaker here. Let's start turning this around.
It's also one of those things where even if it's not an improvement, not saying this isn't, but even if it's not, it can be that kind of honeymoon phase when you first swap in. It's like, oh, everything's better. This is great. All the kind of old arguments get set aside because it's this new learning phase. It's kind of fun. It's exciting. And that can be something with pro teams where teams that are struggling just want to make a swap because it can kind of reset the mental kind of attitude or the atmosphere in a team house. So
certainly the case. And you got to imagine sometimes it's just very hard as well. Liquid is another one of these where it's a mixed language team, right? Now it's down to only one Korean on the lineup, but they used to have two for a while. And it can honestly just be difficult hanging out together when you don't speak the same language nearly as well. And you can contrast to teams like Immortals, where Huni and Rainover are basically fluent at this point, and you can carry a conversation with them in English. That's not as easy with someone like Phoenix or KFO, who haven't learned the language as quickly or haven't spent as much time in America. And just getting everyone on the same page, getting everyone happy together, and making sure your coordination on and off the Rift is solid is a very important point. as we get ourselves now into Champions Select for Game 1 of the match.
Even just talking through problems and issues and things you want to solve, talking about shot calling, vision control, these are things they have to work together as a team. If you can't communicate, you can't solve those problems very well. But we do have the picks and bans starting off pretty quickly here. Yeah. Soraka and Jax taken off the table. Soraka was what Big played all 3 games yesterday. KFO only played Jax yesterday as well. So TL is just kind of going right at the comfort picks. One thing I will say is I actually really like P1's banning strategy against Fox, which was just Trouble Man Froggen, because he does not play some of these kind of S-tier mid laners that a lot of other people do. And if you put him off the comfort picks, it's tough.
It's like if he doesn't play the top 3 mid laners in the game, then you ban 4, 5, and 6. He's now playing at best the 7th best mid laner when you're playing like 1 or 2.
And you're still playing Azir, or they have to waste a ban on it because they can't pick it. So either way, Azir, Shen, Olaf taken off the table here.
I like this actually.
Liquid, and yeah, Phoenix fantastic on Azir. Froggen doesn't play it. That's an obvious one. Lorlo, playing that Shen has been relatively successful, and Olaf has been good for Dardoch too.
And it feels like it's KFO setting up for an Aurelia game right here, right? Shen has been known as one of the best picks into Aurelia specifically. Olaf, I think, would be able to handle the matchup reasonably well as on top of that one. And Echo Fox, I feel like there's a decent chance that, hey, you've got a Korean-speaking jungler. KFO can help set you up for these games. We know KFO is a great player. Those two can try to play better than Lorlo and Dardoch, and we know that Echo Fox, when they win, tends to be around that top lane. So,
yeah,
if I'm imagining that's their game plan right now, this sets up into this.
Fox is kind of a mini version of Apex in that they really do funnel all their resources into the top lane, it feels like, as far as that's like where they're hoping they're going to win from. Apex with Ray, Fox with KFO. KFO has been, in my opinion, kind of the shining star of this team throughout the season. He is the guy that they've been putting a lot of emphasis on and really hoping he can carry games. We'll see what pick he's going to end up getting. They may save the last pick for him, if not Froggen. Has been going to KFO quite often, trying to get him that advantageous matchup. At the same time, picks coming through fast and furious. Vladimir, Rek'Sai, Braum, very solid core here for TL. It gives them good front line, some backline access even as well. And we do have the bot lane likely selected here for Fox. That is Karma and Ashe. We remember, obviously a flex pick too.
A great dual lane in general, one of my very favorites in League of Legends, and it brings in the utility, even the outside of lane synergies. You have the hard engage from Ashe, and the team can speed up to catch up with the stun arrow coming across. Heaven Time right now talking with Froggen. Looks like they're going to be looking at their mid lane pick right now, as he's the one doing the lion's share of the speaking.
Yeah, it's always a good pick to pick the flex champions early too, because this is something where you can't just automatically know as much about the draft. This could be going mid lane still. It doesn't look like it. Probably going to be the Cassiopeia locked in here, which was banned once against Froggen yesterday. When it wasn't banned, he did play it. Played the Ignite Cass. Gragas going to be picked up here too, so we know almost everything for Fox. Now just have the top laner remaining, and TL going to be rounding out their draft also.
And Echo Fox's lineup looks really good. You've got a couple of enablers. Froggen's on a champion where you're almost incentivized not to roam because you're just not really that fast getting around the map. So screw it, I'll sit in lane and farm and just be Froggen as I normally am, but an enabling bottom lane, a ganking jungler here for Kez. I know he's comfortable with playing Gragas, and you save that top lane counter pick for last to make sure KFO gets, I'm still guessing Aurelia, but who knows what the matchup ends up actually being. And look at this, Liquid actually, okay, it is going to be Trundle. TF I thought was going to be a flex, but Trundle top lane coming in for Lorlo to win the matchup.
Yeah, it's a strong top laner, especially when you don't know what you're going to be going up against. There's nothing that Trundle is really bad against. Even in the matchups where he gets outscaled, like you can say a Fiora. Fiora obviously is going to outscale you eventually. You have a strong advantage early. If you get ahead, Fiora can likely never outpace you. So this is a strong, solid pick, and it's kind of like, I almost feel like the victor of top lane where, well, I don't know what I'm going to play against. Trundle's pretty good against everything. Let's play that. Yeah,
definitely agree. He's a good brick of stats and fights pretty well in his own right. And what's nice is he's also very flexible in his item build. And there it is, the Fiora, Azale, you called it. So it is not the Aurelia. Take that one back. Like Shame on me, but another great squishy mobile fighter for KFO. The Gragas will set him up.
My only question here is one of the struggles that Fox has had in the past with Froggen playing Cass is he likes to take so much farm from around the map. When he's not playing a TP champion, him being in the side lanes on Cassiopeia can be very dangerous for him. And at the same time, if you have Ashe, who's kind of a little bit more immobile, it's harder for him to pick up some of those sideways safely. So you end up in these situations where they've had Ashe Cassiopeia comps, and they're both kind of just sitting in mid lane. They're both kind of just spreading farm around, like not really getting too much for either of them. And when you have these comps that can be pretty explosive as far as engage and pretty good at chasing people down in long lanes, you have like the Trundle, you have Sivir ult. You can chase people down in these side lanes very easily. So they're going to have to be careful about it, and they will have to allocate their resources well because TL is playing double TP, and Froggen is going to be on the Ignite. So they must have their pieces in the right place at the right time.
And in terms of playing around the map, even if Echo Fox does try to go in, who are you going to pick off? A Trundle, a Rek'Sai, a Vladimir, a Sivir, a Braum? Like, none of them are great pick-off targets, so maybe a difficult map to play for Echo Fox, but we'll see if they can do it with their new lineup. We're going to get ourselves into Game 1, so jump on Twitter and vote for the team you think will be taking the win in this series. Vote using hashtag TLWin or hashtag FoxWin for Liquid and Echo Fox, of course. We're getting ourselves now into the first one of this series. Dardoch yesterday said, we are for sure just below those top-tier teams. We are getting up there, but we are at least number 3. No chance right now. See if they can do it here. Echo Fox, though, have a lot of work cut out for them if they want to get out of 10th.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you see yourself as that elite team, you know, you're right up there at the top, third-place team, this is the last place team in the LCS. You need to have a statement game. You need to come out confident and execute games, not just win, but you need to dominate. And we'll see if TL's able to do that. It is the swap to heal for Froggen.
Yeah.
One of the less common kind of summoners there for Cassiopeia. I don't know if I've ever actually seen heal on Cassiopeia. You usually see
like I have.
Ignite, Exhaust. I've seen a lot of those, but
yeah,
heal makes sense against Vladimir as a defensive summoner.
And talking with, I think it was Scar about it. I forget if we saw Cassiopeia in the C9 TSM show match, or not show match, but in the stream talking with Scar about it.
Yeah.
And he actually said, yeah, like heal makes a lot of sense because you want to sort of stay in range with Cassiopeia, right? You want to be able to make sure you catch up your next Q and your next E, because as soon as they break out of Q range, you can no longer catch them anymore.
Yeah.
So just some level of utility to make sure you do reacquire your target's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Kind of defensive utility. It's like halfway between Ghost and Barrier, right?
Exactly.
It's a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. Pretty cool. The way we'll see how that's going to work out for him. A lot of this game, I really do feel is going to come down to the top lane. You know, talked about Trundle's dominance in the early levels. How will he fare here against KFO? If KFO can get the farm, can kind of extend his lead or get towards the late game in a good spot, he really will start dominating Lorlo in these 1v1s. But obviously, Dardoch and Lorlo are going to have a thing to say about that. You know, they really do want to put the pressure on KFO and get him behind.
Definitely agree. We'll see what happens here as Big's going to walk into this topside jungle. And actually, Fabi and Matt will give up the play on the Gromp, taking some damage, but trying to get around
actually going to try to wrap around and catch him.
Big's going to have to burn his flash, I'm pretty sure, to get away from this one. Hugs the wall. Out he goes. And that's a 4.5-minute cooldown gone right now as Big will take the long way back to the lane. There is a chance, though, that the Sivir could miss some XP as a result. It looks like they'll miss only a little.
Missed one minion, so
yeah,
not really a big deal. And look at the damage onto Keith also. Oof.
Yeah.
It's a good start for TL.
Matt couldn't reach the auto attack, but he's still going to be in behind this one. I still would imagine the 2-on-2 should look better for the Echo Fox duo, but look at the damage they're getting in early. They might set up the stun as well.
It's one of those situations where, yeah, it should, and actually with that trade back onto Matt, a little too aggressive. He went in for the auto, took the damage from the creeps, plus the trade back on the way out, so not the best, but either way, I agree. As it does stabilize, it should go back into Fox's favor. The only question is, can you capitalize on the support having no flash, right? If you can get an early gank, take this guy out, blow your summoners, pick up that first blood, that's where you net the advantage. Otherwise, it's not really going to matter.
No, we know Dardoch is happy to gank for any lane that shows the advantage. The question is how much they can hurt Big. Dardoch right now showing himself on the left side of the jungle. He's kind of near this lane. And
Kez is doing the scuttle. He's trying to protect the top lane. He's actually picking that up, getting more vision around it because he knows the top lane is going to be susceptible. The scuttle is going to spot out Dardoch. So smart adaptations from both junglers. You know, Dardoch wanted to punish that. Kez was already on the defense.
And Dardoch doesn't know he walked over a ward as well, although he can kind of assume, but look at that, actually. Dardoch's still going to go right back around. There are no camps here. It's him looking for specifically the gank. Oh, it's the blue buff. Never mind.
He may still do the same thing, because with that pathing, you would expect him to go down towards the red, you know, pick up rates, that kind of thing on that side of the map. And if he goes blue, that's enough of a delay that the dual lane from Fox may actually stop playing safe. And if TL can bounce the wave, get them pushing out, that kind of thing, we could see Dardoch make something happen, but it does not look like it's going to be the option for him.
Yeah. We've also seen already what looks like a miscue from Froggen in this landing phase. He spent a lot of his mana trying to bully out Phoenix, didn't really do so, and now has no mana for this landing phase. Lorlo, you mentioned it before. Yep, Trundle has an early advantage in this matchup. At some point, it should tilt back towards Fiora if it doesn't go too catastrophically.
It's honestly a long time before it tilts Fiora, though. You have to have a couple items, like 2-3 items, before it really does start to go in your favor. Once Trundle starts building tank, he kind of stops getting as much from that because Fiora is just, you know,
bunch of percent health through damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he has to build tanky past a certain point. You can't just build glass cannon Trundle, whereas Fiora just keeps building damage, So once you get past 2 items, 3 items, 4 items, it just gets better and better and better for Fiora. But in the early game, losing the AD on the chomp from Trundle, he just kind of outstats you.
Yeah, but it's always nice having lifesteal against someone whose DPS eventually stops growing because you just start lifestealing the sum total of what your DPS would have been.
Exactly.
That's where we will eventually see this Fiora. Kez making his first appearance outside of the jungle, looking for this bot side gank, but the minions are too far up. He can't sneak into the brush. And as it stands anyway, Lorlo giving a lot of respect to the threat of Gragas coming in.
Yeah, and the wave is huge. There's no reason for Lorlo to approach it. So it's one of those things where unless they're going to try to make a dive, which I don't think is actually possible, they would have to reset the wave. Lorlo is challenging it, going to try to hold a freeze with the range minions, and this is going to put it in an awkward spot for KFO.
Yeah, part of it as well is Kez making sure there was no Dardoch gank coming through. It's Fiora exposed under the turret here, definitely
Help
risky.
push it in.
Right, that would be the exact time that you would expect to see Dardoch come in for that 2-on-1 gank. So Kez makes sure KFO is safe. He, in fact, is so. And Fiora, look at this. You're seeing the minion score roughly tied back up. We heard the crowd cheer earlier when Lorlo won one of these fights. Well, they're back on equal footing.
Definitely are. Lorlo going to be able to pick some of this up, and things looking pretty good for Fox so far. Kez, you know, a fair bit down in CS because he did spend some time kind of protecting the top lane, then moving down to protect the bot lane. And every time you invest your kind of map movement into these, if it doesn't pay off, you don't get kills, you do fall further and further behind because Dardoch is just power farming, right? You know, he's up at 28 CS, up a camp or two. It's a pretty nice advantage for him. Not massively impactful, but if it continues to extend, it can be a problem. And if you look at the gold, it's already 1,000 gold ahead for TL with basically nothing having happened. It's just the farm.
Yep, it's plus 12 for the Trundle. You saw, you know, the 100-something, 200-something gold lead for Dardoch
every lane.
as well. Yeah, every lane up a decent amount here. Phoenix once again trying to do battle with Froggen, who has gotten to go back to lane at least once now, but it's double Doran's Ring, actually not even a tier, so Froggen in this sort of extended laning phase now is actually not getting much.
Yeah, that's actually a brutal spot to come back with just another Doran's, and the cowl is in for Phoenix, so there's just like almost no chance of really bullying this guy out, and the fact that you're not even second your tier is going to make Froggen pretty sad. He's just going to miss more and more CS as he's getting zoned off at this point, knowing he can't really trade. Phoenix is doing a great job. Things for TL, pretty nice. You know, winning even that 2v2, thanks probably a lot in part to the harassment they got at the start, and they're actually going to call a lane swap, so we'll see what can happen.
Okay, getting themselves out of their lanes right now, looking for an early play towards the bottom side. It is a BF sword recall for the Ashe, so Keith is power spiked, and against the Tiamat from Lorlo, look, that's actually a potential engage. You can actually pick up a Trundle with this kind of damage output. Keith not 6, but maybe they get the damage hotshot to make sure that Dardoch isn't around, and yep, they're pushing in on this one. That wave's going to crash into the turret. We would likely see Fabi answer a turret kill himself on the top side, but Echo Fox turn in a bad early game into a trade of equal resources, which I gotta say, this is like the first time I've ever seen Echo Fox make something that I would consider a good shot call. And
I don't know about ever.
Like, sorry, it's overly harsh, but like, here's the first game with Kez, and like, hey, this is a good move.
It is a good move. You're losing the lanes. Whether or not they should be losing the lanes is another question. But they're all making the best out of a bad situation, which I completely agree on. Especially if they can also, you know, pick up vision deep in the jungle, which they're trying to do with Kez here. Maybe
they're way
grab
faster.
The dragon. That would be really nice.
They could go up a turret for this. Echo Fox could just out turret trade Liquid right here. The move's finally coming in. Lorlo down to half, but this turret's at 2/3. Top and outer still not dead, by the way. So honestly, this felt really good from Echo Fox.
Yep, and it's going to have to be another wave before Fabi can actually knock this down. His team didn't stay with him, and they are going to make the move to the dragon. So this I like a lot. And Echo Fox, because of that, has evened up the goal for now. Obviously, TL will go back in the lead when they do take that top turret finally. Still, the dragon going down for Fox is going to be very nice. No chance of that being contested. And TL power farming, they'll have to get their advantages elsewhere.
Yep, Liquid power farming and a good job playing the minion wave game, but for as much as Echo Fox has had such a terrible season so far, and everyone was convinced they would be good, they're the 7th place team from the last split, and that was only playing about 2/3 of the split with the real lineup. It was a sub-squad for most of it. Everyone was like, okay, 7th place, but now's the time you make playoffs. You keep the roster together. This team should be better. We're so ready for Echo Fox to be good. And then they weren't, and it was depressing for almost everyone involved who was like so excited to see Froggen do well, wanted to see Rick Fox's venture do well with this new squad. It was like, this was like the poster child. Everyone was so excited for Echo Fox, and it was so depressing. And now a few changes come in, and partway through one game of a series, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, the kind of funny question is, with the disaster start to the season, when Fixer comes in, if things start looking good, do they then become, oh, now there's spring split for next year team?
Well, I actually wonder, right? Because keep in mind, KFO and Froggen are already imports.
Yeah.
So someone's got to drop off that lineup if Fixer even plays in the first place.
Yeah, we will see. Either way, Echo Fox looking pretty solid in this game so far. Down some gold, but up a dragon. And they are making all the right moves. We do have the tier now on Froggen. He did pick up the blue buff, going to be stacking that up. And now that he can kind of spam out with the double Doran's blue buff and the tier, he is closing that CS gap pretty nicely. Things even between KFO and Lorlo, which I would say is a victory for KFO. As long as you're even or ahead on that Fiora, you're going to be very happy as you know you're scaling.
Yeah, something we used to talk about way back in the... Ooh, hold on. Yeah, KFO got to run back under his turret, but here comes Dardoch. They want to die this one, and Lorlo is tanking. KFO taking way too much damage. A great first blood. What a dive from Liquid. You can rotate, but that 2-on-1's going to work for him.
Oh, that was so close there by KFO. I think if he actually flashed forward, got one more vital, he would have gotten at least a trade kill there onto Lorlo. And the thing is, if you get the kill, even with 2 vitals proc, you get the HP back, you get the heal, which could have turned it into a disaster for Liquid. Unfortunately, KFO unable to flash a knock-up, kind of botching that a little bit. Could have been an outplay. Instead, it's first blood for Lorlo. Nice gank by Dardoch.
Yeah, I got to correct something real quick, though. Our mistake. Fixer's not on the Echo Fox roster. He's the reserve for Phoenix 1. Yeah. Sorry, we got our wires crossed with 2 teams that were hoping to do much better early in this split. Our apologies for the misinformation. This is the, I'd assume at this point, the intended starting lineup for Echo Fox for the rest of this split, unless something else happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, a great gank now. Dardoch and Lorlo getting that lead over KFO. And as you said, this matchup won't tilt for a while, and if Lorlo keeps the gold advantage, we may never see KFO get off the ground. And right now, it is a nice 2,000 gold lead, comfortable for Liquid. As much as I was singing Echo Fox praises earlier, there's still a bunch of farm. 20 in the mid lane, 20 more than that for the AD carries.
Yeah.
And you look at the junglers, it's going to be massive as well, almost 1,000 actually.
They also have TP advantage now on Lorlo because KFO had a TP back. He wanted to catch up on those minions, not fall too far behind. You know, first blood already over to the Trundle. You can't afford to miss all the CS and the XP after that. Otherwise, you're just going to get devastated in that 1v1. So he does go in, but they can return to the scene of the crime, look for a gank in. Dardoch's already moving down here. Lorlo has just had a big buy, and they're going to look for another dive. Fortunately, though, Kez is here. Can Kez get here in time to actually affect us at all, though?
No, KFO pops the ulti. He doesn't actually repulse the knockup. Flashes away right as Kez comes in, but now he's just switching who's going to get killed, as his Gragas going to get dived into the turret. Dardoch to just withstand the damage output, and Lorlo chomps him with the Grasp of the Undying. A second kill for this TL duo.
Yeah, and KFO, I think he needed to flash earlier to kind of delay before he started taking all that damage. And had he been able to get back closer to Kez, they join in the fight at the same time, maybe they win this. In the way that this happened, he kind of tried to fight, then flashed out, right as his jungler flashed in, so Kez becomes the sacrificial lamb, and KFO cannot contribute whatsoever. This is a 2-0 Trundle. The turret's going to be going down, gold lead extending heavily here for TL, and things are looking troublesome for Fox.
Definitely agree. This is starting to get pretty rough for the squad that showed a little bit of hope in this game, but Liquid have been winning the laning phase. They're winning in gold because they're just simply farming better and finding...
Here goes Dardoch once again, 4-man gank.
Dardoch for his 3rd gank of the game. Not quite going to find it, though. Does force the flash out of Froggen, but look at this now. Mid lane's under pressure, and, well, there's one good lane swap from Echo Fox, but now it's just Liquid dictating the pace with Dardoch running around the map and getting his team to join him.
Yeah, good play calling. Bot lane duo collapses from top. It's a slow push moving towards their turret, so they're really losing nothing for this. Sivir and Braum, they commit the ult, but they get Froggen's flash, and now they can always look for those return ganks. They can look to punish the Cassiopeia, because if you can get on top of her, you can take her out pretty easily, and still lots of time for Fabi to get back to that top lane, pushes the wave out, moves back towards the mid lane to cover for Vladimir, so they're looking like a well-oiled machine. Here it is once again. So KFO has his flash. He needs to flash out early. He tries to go for the outplay and actually parry the riposte, but he probably should have just flashed, because we knew that Dardoch actually didn't have his flash. He would not have been able to follow regardless of if you get that outplay or not. So you flash first, you walk backwards toward your jungler, that gives time. Instead he stops moving, tries to go for the outplay. Dardoch anticipates it, stuns him anyway, and it turns what could have been a winnable 2v2 into a disaster.
Yeah, Kez flashes in to save KFO, who was actually going to be able to get away regardless by burning his own flash later on. And, well, an unfortunate cacophony of errors, and Echo Fox now down 0-2 in this one, with Liquid looking quite nice. And we had said coming in that Liquid kind of here to prove that they belong in the top 3, that they can maybe get farther on as they approach the playoffs, and so far looking quite good against Echo Fox in this game 1.
This would be nice for Fox if they can take it. They really want to get this on the Fiora, but TL is collapsing. Here goes Phoenix.
Phoenix in, Hemoplague on a 3. Red team is slaying the Rift Herald, but it's going to be a kill quickly on a Kez. Can somebody even pick up the Sigil in the first place? It will eventually despawn if no one grabs it. KFO stuck on the other side of the wall, and that's going to be a quick chase for Dardoch. Another kill picked up, 2 for 0. And I believe that Sigil...
He's going to keep going. Dardoch is here. The rest of the team not with him. I guess he just wants to delay as they are pushing towards mid lane. So, yeah, the buff will actually despawn here.
Yep.
That's unfortunate for Fox. They get the Rift Herald, so they get a little bit of gold for it, but they don't get the buff, which is why they were committing so heavily. This was Phoenix with a completed Proto Belt. Flash engages. Great job by him. Nice collapse from TL, who are just moving around the map more cohesively and faster than Echo Fox right now.
Beautiful stuff right now by Liquid to make sure that happened for them as they're up sizably. I do want to point out, as you mentioned the Proto Belt there on Vladimir, we actually pretty commonly see people go Ghost Flash on that champion.
Yep.
The idea is you want super high uptime, always be able to be in the back line. And by Phoenix bringing Teleport, brings Proto Belt and gets to kind of do that anyway.
So here it is once again. We can see all of TL is converging. Even Fabi from the bottom. Look at him getting right on top of everyone. Froggen, who has no flash, by the way, because of that earlier fight, is having to be really defensive here. He's playing far back, and this just allows Dardoch and Matt to kind of zero out KFO. Dardoch flashes over, finishes him off. Kez has already fallen down, so it's an 0 for 2. And even more of an advantage for TL, who is up 5,000 gold 16 minutes in, and they are looking great. Obviously, the hope for Fox is delay, delay, delay. Wait for the Fiora to get big. Fiora has the Hydra completed, but Trundle is going to be outpacing because of the extra global gold, because of the early kills that have been gifted his way.
Right, they've each got a Hydra, but you're seeing just better items on this Trundle. We're seeing Echo Fox continue to try to play some level of pressure. Top lane outer taking plenty of punishment, as Keith has some decent damage for himself, but you can't crit towers, you can't slow him down either, so just not getting the most damage. Fabi able to solo the Mountain Drake, takes him a while, but thank you very much. More objectives for Liquid.
I also really worry, how do you kill Phoenix as this team? There's no Ignite on anyone, and there's no Executioner's Calling, there's no, Morello Nomicon being built right now.
I assume Froggen has to build it second.
Yeah, he's going to have to, but
third.
How long is it going to be till he gets that? And this is Phoenix, who's already ahead. He's up 30 CS, picked up a kill and an assist, has 2 completed items. He's going to be a monster in these coming fights. And, with Ashe, who's kind of not really this hyper carry ADC, and no one having that healing debuff, I feel like it's so hard to kill the Vladimir. It's going to take more mistakes from Phoenix than good plays from Fox.
I agree. Somehow that gold's got to be equalized until they can get the items they need. Ashe is a natural Hurricane builder. You might see executions out of her at some point. There's enough threat on the backline, though, with Sivir and Vlad that she's not going to have good uptime in team fights either. So
yeah, it's tough, but Fox knows they're behind. They're looking to make a play. We'll see if they can do it. Dardoch's coming from behind.
On the Phoenix, plenty of damage across there, and here comes the pool, and the Hemoplague into the back line. He's going to heal up plenty. Quick stun out of Froggen's Cassiopeia. Big has to flash away, and just no one's taking any damage anymore. They're chasing in. Finally, Fabi might go down. That's going to be a kill off for KFO. It's a trade back as Big has fallen down 4v4, but Echo Fox are now surrounding Liquid. Maybe they can get something more.
Yeah,
Phoenix
look at
slow.
Matt, too. Matt is
Another
slow.
Kill, though. Dardoch picked one up. He's taken down Keith himself. Froggen re-engages on towards Phoenix. Flashes away. Lorlo on the chase. You can see just how durable this Vladimir is. Phoenix does not care. He's got the empowered heal back up. KFO's going to give him even more health on this one. Tries to get the chase. Finally gets the kill. KFO tries to carry the fight, and Kez should be taking down Matt. It's a bloody battle as KFO stays alive against Dardoch, but this Fiora is out of mana, taken down by the Smite. The trade does come through, but looks like still advantage 4-3, I believe, that fight in favor of Liquid.
Still, it's a trade I think that Fox will take. Looking how that fight started, it looked like it was going to go very bad for them. Honestly, KFO came up huge for the team, not only taking out Fabi, but some very nice plays to pick up extra kills across the map. getting Phoenix there. Really good stuff from KFO, and it does breathe some life into the team, at least getting those kills on an important person like the Fiora. And one thing kind of, as Fox, you're a little bit happy about is it's the Rek'Sai picking up kills, who isn't as big of a threat. So we'll see how this starts off once again. The TP coming in from Fiora, Dardoch with the flank. Matt taking a lot of early initial damage, but Keith as well. He's already basically completely out of the fight, very low. Big has to flash out. Keith isn't really contributing, but it's KFO, who gets left alone on the AD carry. No one there to peel for him. Matt is low, so he has to back off. And Froggen, extending for this fight for a long time. Dardoch does eventually chase down Keith, gets him with that Cinder Hulk burn, and Froggen able to add a lot of damage in on Phoenix before he falls. And now, as we had already seen, good job here by KFO. He actually procs the Vital on Dardoch to get the heal there, gets a speed up, gets him in range of the lunge on Phoenix for the kill. So well played by him. In the meantime, Keith goes down again, flashless ashes. Easy pickings.
Yep, Sivir was on the hunt with her team, and a nice easy Braum setup meant that was a kill, and Keith sadly 0-2 and 0 has not been officially a part of the kills, although of course he was involved in the prior team fight where Fox grabbed 3, but look at this, it's 7,000 gold.
Yeah.
Putting Liquid ahead 20 minutes in, substantial lead right now.
So much armor on Lorlo already. He's just kind of saying, well, I'm never going to die to you. I'm just going to outpace your item building to KFO. And Dardoch has a full black cleaver because of those early kills, so he's going to be a big damage threat. This is a very scary team to deal with.
Yeah, there's just so many good hybrid
20-minute Baron, why not?
That can knock people down. Kez can look for the steal. He's landed some good smites before. Dardoch chases him out of the pit as Liquid look to re-engage Lorlo. Down to 2/3. Dardoch kind of zoned out by his own teammate's pillar as Echo Fox were able to retreat without burning any of their summoner spells, and not a bad defense.
Yeah, good job by Fox, especially when you consider KFO is not joining this fight. They don't actually want to fight. They just want to get them off the Baron. But does Froggen chase too far here? There's people coming from behind. He's got to be careful.
Fabi might get smacked up, though, and the arrow hits Matt in the back. But they've got some time to make this one happen. But KFO's not in this fight. It's still a 4v4. Froggen will go down to this one. Dardoch in the back line looking for Keith, gets a stun, and Vladimir's in as well. This should be a slaughter now for Liquid. Make that already 3 to 4 kills picked up. They got one on the side as well. KFO's just knocking down a side turret, but
I mean, their eyes got big because they're able to pick up Fabi, but they're chasing so far into Liquid territory to do this. Their top laner has no TP. He's never going to be able to join, and it's a slaughter. They just needed to delay. They'd already accomplished what they wanted to. Stop the Baron, take the free turret that KFO is going to gift you. Instead, they overreach. They get punished massively. Now down 8,000 gold.
Oh, and Lorlo doesn't check the recall. Dardoch had actually ulted down to the bot side of the map, but Lorlo didn't put a pillar down to stop KFO.
Yep, so he is going to be able to escape, gets out of there scot-free. Unfortunately, the rest of his team does not, and here it is once again. They get the chase down, they take him out, but look at Kez, already taking so much damage from the turret. Froggen now gets pillared in. Really nice pillar there by Lorlo, and the kind of anti-synergy. Kez actually ulted Lorlo over Froggen's shoulder, so the Froggen ultimate missed on him too. So a little bit of a miscommunication there, an unhappy accident kind of thing, and
yep.
We do see KFO was able to make the best of a bad situation, picks up some farm, picks up the turret, but it was not a fight that Fox really should have ever been looking for when they're already down a man because their top laner can't join.
Yeah, it's always funny. I tend to agree with you. To play devil's advocate a little bit, when you're behind like this, you have to try something. You cannot just roll over, and Liquid are going to play a pretty controlled game. So they hoped that half the team wouldn't be there on time. They hoped it was, okay, this TP mismatch, but maybe Matt's not there in time. Maybe, Phoenix isn't there in time. Unfortunately for Echo Fox, of course, Liquid were there. They didn't leave Fabi out to dry too badly, and, well, it's a 5-0-5 Rek'Sai from Dardoch. Now here's the fight in the top lane. The ulti gets through for KFO, gets a big, sizable heal, but, well, he's out of tools now, and he waits for the cooldown. Does get away, trades some damage back and forth with Lorlo, who will heal back up with his passive, and
Frozen Heart completed.
Happened. Yeah.
Looking good, and Matt moving over here, he gets caught by the arrow. Can Fox actually complete the fight, though? Dardoch's still on the dragon. They're looking to finish. Phoenix coming in from the side.
A little bit of damage across, but nope. Clean air Drake pickup, and that's going to equalize the out-of-combat movement speed that Echo Fox had before. And now it's KFO once again in a battle with Lorlo, but this time around he has no ulti to play around, which was a substantial bit of his damage, but now he's getting access to vitals, and actually looks like that's a better situation for KFO, but he's out of mana. He doesn't have any real lunges left. The flash for Froggen to chase gets a little bit of a slow. It should be enough for KFO. A flash out from Lorlo, the flash to chase, the shutdown comes through, and Liquid have not found anything for this, so KFO actually starting to win this side lane matchup, and Black Cleaver's coming soon.
Yeah, well played there by KFO with the chase down, and Lorlo, without the ultimate, you do have to be careful. The ultimate is really what gives you that kind of ball of stats and so much life steal there to be able to take it down. Oh my god, Phoenix going in for the all-in on Keith.
Setting up his own dive, a big shield comes out, that should leave him alive. Nope, just kidding, Dardoch is there with a massive amount of damage, and he picks off the Echo Fox AD carry. It's a 4 versus 4 now, Fabi running away, KFO gets exhausted and cannot find the damage. He was left out to dry. Dardoch just refuses to care about anything in the world. He takes down
nice
a great stun, but who cares? There's no one left alive to help out Frog, and it doesn't even matter that he landed that spell. Liquid dove in a 4v5 and got a 3 for nothing.
Yeah, 4-man ulti at the end there from Froggen, but as you said, no follow-up, no damage left. KFO did TP in there, was on to Fabi, but this time the team peels. They call back to him. They do not let a repeat happen of the jungle fight, and the exhaust on Fiora, in addition to all the peeling, just too hard for him to actually stick to Sivir and take her down.
Dardoch makes sure all the wards are gone, and here comes the next attempt for Liquid.
And Phoenix
set up a fight.
Is just zoning them off in the mid lane, going very aggressively, trying to push them back, make them feel scared. And this should be a free Baron. They see it, sure, but Kez is miles away. I think they're just going to make the call and try to finish, and it should be theirs.
Not even a problem. Blue team has slain Baron Nashor.
Yeah.
16-5 in kills, 11,000 gold lead.
And here we have it once again. Phoenix starts it up and right in onto Ashe. The shield is already used by Karma. Keith is moving forward to try to clear this, and he sees his opportunity. Exhaust goes down, nice shield, but there's the flash to finish him off from Dardoch. Executes out the ADC, and at the same time, look at this. KFO's on top of Fabi, but Fabi kites back to the team. Team peels back, is able to take him down. Yes, it costs Fabi his summoners, but they get the kills. And Froggen, nice ulti here, but you can see, although he's working away on Dardoch for so long, he does not actually have enough damage to really punch through this Rek'Sai yet. He's just being outpaced too much gold-wise.
Right, he's got no Void Staff. He didn't really have any substantial ability power either. Yeah. So, yeah, just wasn't able to do much about it. With Treads and a Cowl.
And the risk now is that TL actually just ends the game with the Baron because they're up so substantially that this is a team that can make these risky dives. They can push forward very aggressively. And if they get one more good fight like that with the Baron, it could spell the end of the game for Fox. So they need to hold on. They need to delay. Black Cleaver has been completed for KFO. So that is kind of a bright spot there for them, and we'll see if he can make any 1v1 outplays. He's split pushing now. We'll see if Fox can hold on. It's going to be tough. There's no TP on KFO, and I think they're just going to go for the dive.
They're just going right on in a pillar on the Frog, and here's a trophy in your back, and Dardoch taking some damage. A kill actually comes through. They're picking the people off in this dive, but Phoenix now doing Vladimir things, diving in, very healthy, heals him back up. There's a chomp on down 4, already dropped for Echo Fox. Liquid holding alive with most of their lineup, looking to close the game out right now.
Yeah, I think they can go for the end. We do see that Dardoch is going to back, but he can just ultimate right back into the fight. Full HP, KFO basing. Almost no chance to hold on in this 1v4. It's going to have to be a miracle, and I don't think it's going to happen. TL are looking dominant in game number 1.
They are once again. Some great early plays. They continued it through the mid-game. KFO cannot make it happen. Tried to pick off Lorlo, couldn't do it. 3-5, sadly, his scoreline is the game 1 victory comes through for Liquid. 27 minutes only. A smashing of a battle.
27 minutes, and the gold lead was almost 15,000. That was a devastating loss for Echo Fox, and it's hard. You know, as the Echo Fox team, what do you change in a game like that? They got thoroughly outplayed in every lane, every matchup. They lost. You know, they were losing a farm across the board. TL was just making the better plays, making the better decisions, the macro movements. So it's really tough to say, oh, we just got to fix this, we just got to fix that, because kind of everything was a little bit off kilter.
And that's the thing, is in professional League of Legends, you actually, I think, pretty rarely have games where you're losing just from individual skill.
Yeah.
But when every single lane was losing, every single, you know, the jungler's getting out farmed and out ganked as well, just like before there were any actual shot calling choices to be made, Liquid was already up a very substantial amount from the laning phase. That's a rare occurrence. We then saw a couple of nice calls from Echo Fox. They got a turret much earlier, they got a free Drake off of it, then came back into a reset map with an advantage from shot calling. But, well, guess what? You're still playing a game where you've got 3 less pawns than your opponent, right?
Yeah,
Liquid just have more tools.
It's tough. Echo Fox had some good moments, like you said. Good shot calling early, get the earlier dragon, get the earlier turret. KFO was doing well in that 1v1 until Dardoch was able to come and disrupt that. You know, KFO may have had some chances to outplay, to really kind of change that around, but you can see there was some miscommunications, people maybe not on the same page. This is a sub. Maybe they haven't been practicing as much with Kez, but they need to be on the same page. They need to really be firing well together to be able to take down a team like TL, and it just didn't happen in Game 1.
It did not happen. Liquid, of course, a very strong team. So for more insight into that dominant Game 1 Liquid performance, let's go to the analyst desk, already in progress as they break down CLG versus Phoenix 1.
Is their opportunity to kind of make a resurgence, much like Echo Fox did in the second half of their spring split. Of course, they're struggling now. Now, as I say all that, NALCS 2 is joining us, Team Liquid and Fox. Team Liquid picking up the victory after a Baron plus a push down the bot lane in order to end it. Guys, we're breaking down NALCS 1, and Phoenix 1's first victory over CLG in this series was a very interesting game in that CLG had control. Phoenix 1 found their way back into it.
Right, so the way the game kind of worked was that CLG had these winning lanes, and they were stomping them, or not stomping, but winning them hard enough that they had CS leads and they were able to take turrets early. Phoenix 1 had a TF making plays, had 100% kill participation early, but couldn't save them from what was happening until that Baron play we just saw.
Yeah, we saw that. Now I want to push us forward to kind of the game ender here, 36-30 into the game. Phoenix 1 picks up another delayed ace plus the Baron, getting everything they need to close out this game.
Well, it's a continuous attempt from P1 to just force a Baron. We've seen TSM do the same likes, and it works successfully. If your comp is stronger and you're stronger at the time, as long as you're grouped up as 5, there's a very low chance of losing a fight. So they do that, and it finally pays off, and they're able to just snowball the game from that. So it's very clean because who is realistically going to kill the Sivir?
Exactly. Delayed ace. They move to the top lane, push down the top lane, end the game. Player of the game is going to go to Pyrion on that Twisted Fate. As you mentioned, had great presence through the early game. Even with that presence, they still weren't necessarily ahead, but then he also made the plays to get them back into the game. So for him, he did a ton of work throughout the game, regardless of how, the teams were faring at the time.
Right. The beginning of the game can't be understated how important that was. If he didn't manage to pick up those kills, those lanes lose faster. They're down gold. They're losing the turrets as well, and that game gets blown open. Instead, it kind of takes a little bit longer, and then once they are able to finally get a pick off in the jungle, which he helped start out with the good Zanyas and gold card, they're able to come back into the game, and he kept finding picks the whole rest of the game as well. So massive performance from him.
All right, but here's the thing. We're in best of 3s, right? Phoenix 1 has to win one more game to actually take the victory in the match. And against the likes of CLG, do we think CLG is going to maybe give them that same opportunity to get back into a game like they did here in Game 1?
I think it's likely that this goes to 3 games. I don't think CLG is going to just collapse and roll over. But what I do enjoy about P1 is that they are being extra proactive. This is a team that, if you think about what's a bottom team look like, a bottom team looks like a team that doesn't do anything, that just rolls over, dies, never is willing to make the first move. But that's not P1 at all. They're always forcing something, looking for opportunities, even when the gold is down, and that's really refreshing to look at, and that's why I think that this team has quite a bit of a chance of taking CLG down.
I love it. Phoenix 1's got some fight in them. They took the first game against CLG on NALCS 1. They'll be moving into Game 2 after the break, so we've got to say goodbye to that audience. In the meantime, NALCS 2, we're going to be covering, in a quick conversation, Team Liquid's first victory over Fox in Game 1. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and dive into this one. As we see, still a lot of focus thrown into KFO in that top lane, trying to get him a strong split pusher. It's not the Jax this time around because it's banned by Team Liquid, so they stretch towards that Fiora. They're not finding success with it. It seems very hit or miss with the split push attempts from Fox, and it seems like it might be the only strategy they can ever stab
Well,
at.
we have to talk about the elephant in the room. They brought in a new jungler, so they've been playing with hard for quite some time now, and you bring in somebody that is completely alien to this environment that Echo Fox is in. So the communication's definitely not going to be there, especially in the communication that you would expect to see in the top-end jungle, because both are fluent in Korean. You'd maybe hope that they're a little bit up to par, but the time of practice is just not going to be enough to match the synergy that Lorelor and Dardoch have.
Well, the other thing, too, is Kez is a little bit of a known quantity. He's been playing in these leagues for a long time, and he's always known as more like a supportive jungler who wards a lot. He's very dedicated to vision control. Games tend to go longer with him, and that's really not what Echo Fox needs. You're thinking they need, like...
Games don't need to go any longer.
Yeah, they need like, decisive early game action, and that's
Right.
not what happened. TL was winning the early game just through laning phase. Frogman was down a lot. TL's bot lane was up, so they swapped to try and start trading turrets. The initial turret trade goes down, but then from there, Team Liquid plays the map better. And the Fiora Trundle is kind of snowbally. Whoever gets ahead is going to win it. And that you just said, Dardoch.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think that's why the switch for this series is what makes it the most curious, right? If you're going to look at the teams that I want to put in a slower-paced players against, Team Liquid and Immortals are the two teams I don't want to do that against, right? These are the guys who do run straight at you head first. Dardoch is going to take advantage of the fact that you're just dropping wards and not actually visiting lanes.
I think especially when you commented on like KFO seems to be an important strategy. Both IMT and Team Liquid have the kind of Bash Brothers synergy in the top lane jungle where they're going to try and snowball that as the most likely place they're going, and that's what happened again here. And from there, it just kind of came off the rails for Echo Fox.
Yeah, all right, well, so then let's get into no. So let's jump into the game itself. 14 minutes in, we see Echo Fox make a stab at the Rift Herald. They successfully kill the Rift Herald, but will not manage to pick up the buff itself, as well as hand 2 kills over to Team Liquid. So this is yesterday we saw a team dedicate 5 members to a Rift Herald and have it work out so poorly for them. It seems like a very tragic misjudge of how important that buff is.
Yeah, it's just like they want to get it on KFO. It's like trying to even out that. Yeah, they want to even out that matchup, but you can't force it. Like Rift Herald is definitely not an objective you can force like a dragon. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, it's not that way. It's too tanky.
It does too much damage. The position is just so off for actually trying to fight.
Right, because it actually forces you to split from you, right? Yeah. So as opposed to, we can all attack Baron from the same side. You can't actually do that with the Rift Herald, so your tank's usually facing the other direction. Makes it a very tough situation to navigate there in the river. Of course, we see it pay off for Team Liquid as they recognize that and take advantage of it and pick up a couple
Vlad
kills.
goes off, and Vlad going off, he was already winning the laning phase, which we're actually talking about how Froggen chose to go with the heal over what we've seen to be an Ignite. A lot of times, Cassiopeia takes Ignite into Vlad and is able to kind of get an early advantage and snowball that, but not the case this time.
All right, well, player of the game going to Dardoch, 8-0-7 on Rek'Sai. I mean, once again, those numbers kind of highlight that jungle matchup specifically, where he's not getting challenged enough necessarily, so he has the freedom to move around the map, pick up a few early kills, and then he's the kind of player who's going to run away with it. He will create score lines like this if he picks up a few early kills.
I mean, the thing to look out for is how people use Rek'Sai, not just in the early pressure, but the global advantages can bring. That initial dive that they put onto KFO, he ults back topside to protect his bot lane from the mirror play, and being able to cover both lanes like that with Rek'Sai is what really stands out to me for like the top players.
As opposed to just using ult to be a farm alarm and saying, I'm just going to keep farming, which rarely works nearly as well as the defense play.
All right, yeah, the evolution of the Rek'Sai ult, actually, because initially it was called the farm alarm because that's the only way that players were really using it. Now we've found more interesting, intriguing ways to utilize that global ult.
Not as catchy of a name, though. I don't know what to call it. The defense alarm?
We'll give it some thought. We've got an entire commercial break and game to follow in order to figure that out. When we return, we'll see if Liquid can complete the sweep or if Fox has what it takes to push this series into a Game 3. We'll be right back.
All right, lock in. Let's go.
Feels good, man.
But here comes Dardoch. They want to die this one, and Lorlo is tanking. KFO taking way too much damage. A great first blood.
We're fighting for sure. Cassio no flash. Cassio no flash.
Let's go. I'm pulling. Kill Cassio.
Come on, Greg.
I'm going.
They didn't get the buff.
Okay. Keep going.
You're stunned.
But KFO's not in this fight. It's still a 4v4. Froggen will go down to this one. Dardoch in the backline looking for Keith, gets the stun, and Vladimir's in as well. This should be a slaughter now for Liquid. Make that already 3 to 4 kills picked up. They got one on the side as well. But Phoenix now doing Vladimir things, diving in, very healthy, heals him back up. There's a chomp on down. 4 already dropped for Echo Fox. The game 1 victory comes through for Liquid. 27 minutes only. A smashing of a battle.